from, your name. I like to know your name and then where you're joining from, basically, so that we can get to know each other and get familiar with each other. So I'll be in the chat. I'll be checking the chat now. So I want to know your names and where you're joining from today. All right, we have Elizabeth from the UK. Hello, Elizabeth. Nice to have you on the call today. So who else? We have Ibukun from UK. Ibukun, nice to have you. Josiah from Nigeria. Nice to have you, Josiah. All right. Seems we have a lot of people. So let's keep. All right, we have Albert from the UK. Albert, nice to have you on the call also. All right, so um okay, Tony from France. Nice to have you, Tony. If it's first time joining masterclass, probably you've not heard of the masterclass. This is your first time joining masterclass. Please indicate one in the chat. And if you've joined before any of our masterclass, if you've been to anyone apart from this, please put a two and two or any other number basically, so that we'll get to know those. All right, so we have Elizabeth at two. So Elizabeth, nice to see have you on the call today. Tony from Lagos. Okay, Tony, noted. So Josiah Etsu, nice to have you here also. Josiah. All right, so we have two people that has joined our masterclass before and are still here. That's a great one. And we have Linda from Belgium. Nice to have you here, Linda. So Tony also Etsu. That's great. All right. Okay, while we wait for others to also put in their names and where they're joining from, I book also Etsu. That's great also. While we're waiting for others to put in their tools, so don't forget my colleague is going to be posting the feedback form in the chat channel. So don't forget to fill in the feedback form to get all the materials for that we're going to be using for today. All right, Linda, today's your first time joining. Nice to have you on the call. And I know you're going to have a lovely experience. So you guys stick with me till the end of the section, and I can assure you that you're not going to regret any of this. So stick with me till the end. Don't forget the feedback form is going to be posted in the chat. So feel free to fill the feedback form to get all the recordings and materials that we're going to be using for today. All right, so what are we going to be doing today? So for today, we'll be looking at project manager versus business analyst. Detailed explanation with skills and career opportunities in the UK, US, and then in Canada. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. But before we get right into it, I would like to tell us about ourselves. Who are we? Who are we that is bringing this knowledge to you today, this experience? Who are we? We are 10 Analytics. We are 10 Analytics, an edutech company that is focused on providing specialized training in technology, skills, and delivering comprehensive data consulting service. And we have over 5 years of experience. So building talent for more than 5 years now, right? So we are not new to this. And we've helped over 2,500 people transition from their 9 to 5 jobs to their first tech role across the UK, the US, Canada, Europe, Africa, and Asia. And we are committed to making technology sector more accessible through premium experimental trainings. And this training spans from data analytics. We have trainings in data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management and Scrum Master, and and then AI engineering. All right. So now that we're good, now let's talk about our facilitator. Who is Elizabeth? We have Elizabeth here. So Elizabeth is one of our top facilitator at Analytics here, and she's also here, and she's gonna be sharing her wealth of knowledge with us today. So who is Elizabeth? Let's know a little bit about Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a product manager and a senior agile project manager at Analytics with half a decade of experience in product and project management. Elizabeth is a skilled leader and coach for Agile team, consistently driving impactful results and has successfully guided over 1,000 individuals with no prior Agile experience into making smooth transition into project management. So you see that we have the best facilitators here. So you are in good hands and safe hands for it in this section. So Elizabeth has trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents. Her experience spans through multiple sectors, including the health sector, fintech, edutech, and where she has applied her deep knowledge of agile methodologies. And she's here today to also share this wealth of knowledge with us today. So stick with me till the end. So now, and who is Moses Joshua? So I'm here, Moses Joshua. I'm also a senior agile associate at Analytics with several years of experience in project management and a passion for organizing team and delivering impactful projects. So I've also led several teams and then helped them transition also from their normal 9 to 5 to their first tech role, also leveraging the agile methodology. And I'm also committed to training and teaching us, making sure that we have the right insights to be able to navigate our professions as we take this program. Now, let's get right into what we have for today. So for today, we'll be looking at four major aspects. The first aspect is gonna be management versus business analysis. And after then, we'll move into career opportunities of a BA and a PM, which is a business analyst and a project manager. And after we're done with that, we'll move into analytics strategic plans to help secure that dream job of yours. And then finally, we'll talk about our special discounts for you for today. Now, let's get right into it. A project manager versus a business analyst. So I want this section to be as interactive as possible, right? So when you hear the word project manager, what comes to your mind first? So the first thing that comes to your mind, just put it in the chat. When you hear the word project manager, what comes to your head first? So I'm looking at the chat now. So anyone? All right, managing a project from beginning to end. All right, thank you very much, Elizabeth. That's a great one. All right, so now when we hear the word business analyst, what comes to mind? Linda said someone who manages a project. That's perfect. Project manager, you manage a project. Tony said coordinating people towards delivering set objective, supervising a project. Thank you very much. Those are great words when it comes to project management. And now, when we now talk about business analyst, what comes to mind? A business analyst. Business analyst, what comes to mind? Anyone? Okay, so I'll be looking at the chat as we go on. All right. So while I wait for answers from you guys, what I'll first of all do is what? Compare. Why do we compare these roles together? Why do we compare a business analyst and a project manager? So I know this might not be the first time you hear, oh, a business analyst and a project manager in one sentence, right? There are several times probably you apply for jobs or you are scrolling through the internet, you must have seen them relating the both of them together. But the question is, why do we actually compare the both of them together? So I see Jolly mentioned a business analyst or business analysis identifies business problems and then gives solution. Thank you very much. That's basics. And then iPhone said giving critical value or knowledge of business. That's also great. Thank you very much, both of you. Now let's go on to what we have. Why compare the both of them? In dynamic scale of modern business, the project manager and business analyst are frequently discussed, yet often conflated. So there's a lot of buzz around this too, but people still mistake the both of them because they might have some similar responsibility that they both do, right? That's why people always they do misinterpret them. So today we are going to be looking at that. Both are indispensable for driving successful initiatives but they operate with distinct focuses and skill sets. So now the first part we'll be looking at today is why are both of them critical to success? One thing you should know is that as much as both of them are conflicting or both of them are intertwined, both of them are crucial. Both the project manager and the business analysis, they are crucial to business, to a project. They are crucial for the success of a project. So both roles are critical to project success, but focuses on different aspects. And those are the aspects we want to point out for today. Ensuring initiatives are both well defined and well delivered. Then one thing we also want you to know is career clarity. So fine, we've established that both of them are critical to the success of a project, right? But now we need to check the career clarity. One thing I want you to know is that understanding this distinct, this clarity is very crucial for businesses, right? It is very crucial to be able to distinguish between the business analyst and a project manager, right? And they have different distinct role. A project manager has his own distinct role, while a business analyst also does that. Now, the last thing is what? Global demand. In as much as both of them are similar or they are intertwined, they have conflicted, they are both compared together, both of them are of high demand globally, right? The UK, US, and Canada market consistently show strong demand for both roles, presenting unique opportunities for both of them. So as we can see, both of them are really in high demand. So if you are going for the business analyst program here with us, or you are going for the project management program here with us, you are not losing anything because both of them are in high demand. Now let's move on. The next thing we'll be looking at is, what does a project manager do? What do they do? But before we move into what they do, I would like to point out to you that a project manager are more like an orchestrator. When we say orchestrator, what does it simply mean? They make sure they guide the project. They make sure that the project is completed on time and within schedule, making sure that every task is being done according to the timeline, making sure to guide every step of the project to its completion. Because they ensure accountability for ensuring that the project meets its goal at the end of the day. And they make sure that the project is basically delivered on time and then within schedule and budget. Now, there are some key activities that a project manager should have, right? And one is what? Strategic leadership. Project managers are more of leaders. We are not bosses, they are leaders, right? And what does it mean? They simply lead the project from the planning phase to the execution phase to the monitoring phase and finally the closure phase across all industry. So there's no organization that said, oh, they don't have one project running or they don't have one or two projects running in the organization. And the next one is what? Resources management. A project manager must know how to what? Manage resources. And this kind of resources includes what? The timeline. A project manager and timeline is like 1, 5, and 6. Timeline budgets. We make sure that the budget is followed, and okay, we don't exceed the budget. The timeline is not exceeded. Next is what? Resources. These are resources that are being used inside the project. And then finally, stakeholders communication. As a project manager, communication is one key thing that we do. Is one soft skill you must have. You must be able to communicate with stakeholders, both internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. You must be able to communicate freely. Now that I've looked, take a little bit of, we've looked at the project manager, or what does the project manager do? Let's look at what a business analyst does. And that is not just all what a project manager does, right? There are so many things a project manager do, which is not listed here. So to get full understanding, to get full knowledge of what a project manager can do, simply take a course with us, and then you'll be able to get this full knowledge. So now let's get right into the next thing we have, which is what does a business analyst do? So before we move into there, we need to understand who is a business analyst and what are their role. So to me, I call business analysts like they are critical thinkers. They are people that are crucial in business or organizations. So why did I call them critical thinkers? They are the one that will do all the researching. Okay, business want to upscale, a business want to start up, they want to move to another, they want to start up something new, right? A business analyst will start the research. They will go, okay, we'll check the competitors, do deep researches, making sure that, oh, they get the knowledge that is needed for this project to actually move forward, right? They delve deep into organizational processes to identify inefficiencies and define requirements for improvements or new systems. Now, what are the key things that they do? The first thing is needs assessment. When we say needs assessment, what does it simply mean? It means that they analyze the needs of the business. What does this business need at this moment to upscale? What do we need? They analyze everything, and then they gather the requirements that is needed and then they provide an effective solution for those needs to be met. Right? So after gathering those data, they analyze this data, and then they give you a preferred solution. Okay, this is the best route to go. This is how we are going to solve this. Right? That is what they do, needs assessment. And the next thing they do is, one crucial thing they also do is what? Communication bridge. You see that both a project manager and a business analyst, communication is one key thing that is important for both of them. So when we say communication bridge, simply means that they bridge the communication gap between the business stakeholders and the technical development team. So the team basically working on the project, they don't reach out to the stakeholders. The business analyst will be the middleman. They're like the middlemen. They'll reach out to the stakeholders, talk with them, and then bring back the communication to the development team. Right? So now let's go to like the core skills comparison between the project managers and the business analysis. While both roles require strong analytical and communication skills, their specialized skills cater to different phases and priorities within a project cycle. So all what this is saying is, even if they have similar skill, each of them still have specialties of their own. A project manager has a place that they are specialized in. A business analyst also does that. A business analyst also has his own specialty. Now, what are like the core skills of a project manager? One is what? Execution and delivery. It is the joy of every project manager to be able to execute a project and then be able to complete that project and deliver that project successfully to the stakeholder at the end of the day. And the stakeholder will give a good feedback that, oh, you're able to deliver on time, and then you did not exceed the budget that was given for you. It is the joy of every project manager. It will put a smile on their face, right? The next thing is what? Risk and resource management. They should be able to manage risk and resources in the project. So, when you start a project, there are some risks that you might have foreseen. Oh, there is a probability of this happening. There's a risk of this happening. And what does the project manager do? They look for mitigation strategies. Okay, if this risk happen, what do we do? What is the mitigation plan? How do we solve this risk? So that is simply what it means, risk management. So in case the thing happen, peradventure the risk eventually happen, there is a plan for it to resolve that risk. One core skill also of a project manager is what? Stakeholder leadership. They must be able to create a communication plan between the stakeholders and then the team. Keeping the stakeholders in loop that, oh, this is where we are at on the project, and also relating with the team members. You must be able to lead your team, make sure that everyone is good to go, checking the well-being of every stakeholder, right? When I mean stakeholder, I'm not just talking about the external stakeholders. I'm talking about the internal stakeholders also, which includes your team members, the developers, the designers, and so on. Right? So these are all stakeholders. They are all categorized as stakeholders. Right? So you must be able to know what works for these stakeholders and what works for this stakeholder. So the way you will speak with stakeholder A will be different from the way you speak to stakeholder B. Right? And as a good leader, you should be able to read emotions, which is one of the principles of agile project management or project management, which is emotional intelligence. And you can get more of this if you basically take a course with us. You'll get more of this knowledge. Next thing we'll talk about is what? Budget control. As a project manager, you must be able to manage budgets. So when you collect a project and they tell you, oh, this is the budget for the project, you should be able to know, is this budget going to be enough or not? If it's not going to be enough, it is better you say it from the beginning than to start the project after analyzing everything and you start the project, you're now saying that the budget was not enough. And they did not add any extra feature, nothing else was added. It was just based on what you budgeted for. Oh, this project is going to take this amount, and eventually you exhausted your budget before the project finishes. So that does not tell good of you as a project manager. One other core skill is what? The methodologies used in project management, which include the agile project management, and also under the agile, we have the Scrum. We have other methodologies also, which includes the waterfall and then the hybrid methodologies. Now let's look at the core skills of a business analyst. And they include what? Requirements elicitation. And what does it simply mean? It simply means gathering of requirements needed for the project. After gathering these requirements, they process these requirements, process improvements. They process the data that's been gotten. So after then, the next core skill is what? Data and system analysis. As a business analyst, you should be able to analyze the data you've gotten and then visualize this data, which leads us to the next point, solution design. So you as a business analyst, you've seen all the data, you've gathered all the data, but how do you present this data to the stakeholders? That is why solution design now comes in. You'll be able to visually show this on your board that you can show to stakeholders that, oh, this is the trend, this is what is happening, this is our competitors, this is our growth. You'll be able to say it easily with the design. And some frameworks that are also used in business analysis include UML, BPNN, and then we have what? User stories. User stories is what is used in Jira, right? So now that I've talked about skills comparison, let's look at the tools that are used in project management. We have different tools that are used in project management, right? And we just listed a few here for us, right? So these are some of the common tools that are used in project management. And one of the tools include what? Microsoft Projects. And most of the tools that are used in project management, they all have their unique strength. Though some of them can do some tasks, they can be intertwined, but they all have their unique strength. So for Microsoft projects, one of the unique strengths is what? For timelines and schedule. It can be used for timeline and schedule. So the next one we have is what? We have tools like Trello, Asana, and Jira. And I put all of them together because they are mostly used for task management and team collaboration. Task management and team collaboration. And don't forget, I said that though they might be intertwined, they might function, they might have some similar functionality, but each of them have their strength. So Trello has its own strength, Asana has its own strength, Jira also has its own strength, right? And we'll not be looking into that now, right? We'll be looking, if you want to get more of this knowledge, feel free to take the Agile Project Management and Scrum Master program here with us. Next, and the final one I'll be discussing today is what? Slack and Microsoft Teams. And this one is majorly used for collaboration, communication. Oh, I want to talk with my team member. This is like a plate you can use for communications and updates. Now that we have done with the common tools, let's look at the salary average of, a project manager across the UK, the US, and then Canada. So that this is just basically to show us that this skill is basically in high demand and people are basically paying for it. Right? And it is not just, oh, little amount. People are paying like a good amount for these programs. So if you say you are taking this program, I can assure you, you are taking one of the best when it comes to, or one of the best and easy program that you can easily transition to, right? And in the UK, they have an average salary of what? 45 to 75 pounds, 45 to 75,000 pounds in the UK. And in the US, we have about 85 to $140,000. And then in Canada, we have about 80 to 130,000 Canadian dollars. So you see that there is actually need for this and people are paying for it. Now let's go to tools that are used in business analysts. What are some of the tools used in business analysts? We have several of them, but we'll just be mentioning a few of them, the common ones that are used. One is what? The Visio or the Draw.io. This one is basically used for drawing flowcharts and diagrams. If you want to do wireframes, you can basically use the Visio or the Draw.io. Other tools include the UML modeling tools, which is used for designing technical solutions. And then we have Excel. No, sometimes most of us must have heard Excel. There is a broader view when it comes to Excel. There's a lot in Excel that has not been touched, right? You might think, oh, Excel is just about dragging and dropping, but there is a lot behind it. There's a lot more to it than just creating columns and rows, right? It can be used for data analysis and reporting. Next, we have wireframe tools, which include Azure. And these are used for what? Designing user interface. And finally, the one we have is what? Requirement management tools. And these tools is used for tracking business needs. And one of the tools include the JAMA software. So you will learn in details all these tools if you take the business analysis program. Now let's move to the salary average. And don't forget, this is just the average salary for a business analyst. And for the UK, you see that the average salary is what? Ranging from 35K to 65,000 pounds in the UK. While in the US, it ranges from 70,000 to $120,000. While in Canada, it ranges between 70,000 to 110,000 Canadian dollars. So as you can see, people are demanding for this and they are paying for it. So now, career pathway, and growth potential. What is the pathway? Oh, you want to go into project management, you want to go into business analyst. What are the pathway? What are some of the paths I can go through if I study or I take the program of a project manager or a business analyst? What can I do? What are the roles I can apply for? So both project management and business analysis offer clear, rewarding career trajectories with ample opportunity for advancement and specialization. Professionals can also transition between this role, enriching their expertise. So as we tend to grow, we should always try to upskill. That is what professional does. They try to learn the both of them. Since both of them have they are similar in some of the taxes. Some people tend to like learn the specialty in each of them to get more knowledge. Now, the career path of a project manager. If you take the course of project management, you can take a career path as a project manager that leads and deliver projects successfully. Next, you can also work as a program manager, which oversees multiple related projects, aligning strategic goal. Next, you can have a career path as a portfolio manager. And what do? They manage a collection of programs and projects to optimize organizational value. And then the last one we have for here is what? PMO directors, which is what? Project Management Office Director. They define and maintain project management standard across organization. So they are the ones that create the rule. They create the guideline for the company to basically follow. Now, this is just a few. And my colleague Elizabeth is still going to be talking about few more also with what I've said, right? But this is just a few, and there are several more. Now let's move into the business analyst. If you take the business analyst program with us, what are some of the places career paths you can actually go through? The first one is what you can take a career path as a business analyst, which is to analyze needs, gather requirements, and then propose solutions. Next, you can work as a senior business analyst or a product owner. And what do? They lead complex analysis and then define project visions and then roadmap. Another career path is what? Business architecture. And what do? They simply design expertise. They simply design they simply design business solutions and strategies. So they are like architectures, but for business. Like and the final one we have here is what? Consultants. If you take this business analyst program with us, you can work as a consultant to provide expert advice in business processes and technologies. So now let's move into what we have next, which is how to choose your career path. How do I choose my career path? Now I've heard, oh, a project manager, a business analyst. and both of them are similar. They have similarities, right? But how do I go for the one I want? How do I know the one I want? How do I know the one I want? If to know that, deciding between a project manager and a business analyst career depends on your natural aptitude. So you have to check within yourself. Oh, what am I convenient with? So for a project manager, probably you might look into yourself to choose this part. If you strive at leadership, you are good at leading people, you are good at coordinating, and you are also passionate about ensuring successful project delivery through meticulous planning and execution. All what this is saying is, if you like to complete a project, you look at a project, oh, I love to work on projects, I like to look at it, make sure that the project is completed from the beginning to the end of it. And when we talk about projects does not have to be like big projects. It can be minimal projects, small projects like, oh, doing this, organizing a party, baking a cake, doing some outings. Make those are like mini projects, right? So all of them are projects. If you are good at all those, you are good at leading, you are good at coordinating, then you can look through the path of a project manager. But if you excel at analytics, you are good at critical thinking, you are good at solving problems, and you enjoy bridging the gap between business needs and technical capabilities, then you are tending to the role of a business analyst. So you should be looking in that direction. So as you can see, both of them have intertwined roles, but you see them. So for a project manager, you focus more on leading and coordinating. While for a business analyst, you focus on problem solving and analysis. Now, how do you get started? How do you select the right path? So I will leave it for my colleague here, Elizabeth, to take over from where I stopped for today. So Elizabeth, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you so much, Moses. I was enjoying your session so much, I almost got carried away. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone, please let's put an emoji or a number or a letter in the chat to let Moses know that you enjoyed this session before I walk us through the rest of the session. So I'll be looking in the chat to see some reactions, at least if you feel like you enjoyed and you got or you gained a lot of knowledge from this session. Thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Sick. Thank you, Linda. Moses, you can stop sharing your screen now. Thank you so much for that wonderful session. All right. So the question on all our minds right now is, how do I start? How do I get started? You have heard everything that Moses has said. He has done his best to, break down, the different, these two different career paths. So the role of a project manager and also the role of a business analyst. All right. And, at this point, I'm sure maybe a couple of people are already, picking sides. They're already like, you know what, I want to be a business analyst, or I want to be a project manager. All right. Now I wanted to put it in the chats. Which of these two roles are you leaning towards? Thank you so much, Alice. Alice says 10 over 10. Which of these two roles are you leaning towards? Are you leaning towards that of a business analyst or a project manager? iPhone, Alausa says PM. Okay, iPhone. Anyone else? Anyone else? Annie says BA. Wonderful. Okay. Let's see. I hope the PMs are going to win this session. Elizabeth says PM. You see, any Elizabeth that you see, you just know that they're coming over to the good side. Elizabeth says PM. Linda says BA. Tavia says BA. Ibukun says BA. Caroline says BA. Yomi says BA. Fantastic. It looks like the BA are winning us PMs on this session, but that's okay. That's okay. All right, great. Now let's get into it. Now, and a lot of us might also be wondering, how are you so sure that, your career is future-proofed, right? With all the buzz around AI right now, you're wondering, how am I sure that, this job is still going to remain relevant? So for people like Annie that want to go into BA, or people like my namesake, Elizabeth, that would like to go into project management. You're probably, you have some fears, you have some questions. You want to know how, to remain relevant. How do you future-proof your job? Now, take it from me, because I'm a project manager, okay? So just know that I would not, lead you astray. Now, what we did was, as an organization here at Analytics, we are very, very, very concerned about sustainability. So it's more than just, learning a new course or getting a new skill. And then in the next 5 months, right, that skill or that career path becomes obsolete. So we needed to also make sure that, okay, these two roles that we're looking at tonight, the role of a business analyst and a project manager, how are we sure that at least in the next 8 years, right, these roles will still exist? At least a minimum of 8 years, these roles would still exist. And so we went online and we went to look for, these well-known worldwide forum, and we found the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report for 2025. So when we talk about the World Economic Forum, we're talking about people like Elon Musk, right? People like Steve Jobs and the rest of them, right? These are the people that are basically charting the path for the roles that would remain relevant in the next few years. Now, the World Economic Forum, said something very, very interesting. I found it really interesting, and I also thought to share that tonight. He says in the next 5 years, by 2030, give or take, right? About 170 million jobs will be created. So expect to see new jobs in the market, imagine trends, emerging jobs in the market, while 92 million jobs will disappear. Now, what you see on my screen is a snapshot from that report, right? You can see it is color coded. You have red, you have blue, and you have gray, right? The red boxes signify the programs or the courses, the career paths that would be destroyed, the jobs that will be destroyed. The blue boxes, represents the jobs that are stable, and then the green one represents the jobs that will be created. So whatever you do, you want to make sure you are not in the red zone. You want to migrate as soon as possible. And I believe that's why a lot of us are here in this session tonight. Now, also taking a deeper dive into, this report. And once again, the report is actually available on the web for anybody. But just like Moses mentioned earlier, you must have seen a couple of my colleagues dropping the link to the attendance form in the chat box. Now, that is very, very important. It's very important you fill it, and I'll tell you why. All right, this session is always recorded 101%, but we need to have your details in order to be able to send the session to you, the recording of this session, just in case you want to watch it over again, as well as the slides. So this slide that I'm sharing right now, as well as the slides that Moses used to walk you through, the beginning of the session, if you want to have it, make sure to fill the attendance form, because that's the only way we'll have your details to be able to share the recording as well as the slides with you. Now, it's very important that you get the slides, all right? Because we have a lot of wonderful resources linked on this slide. For example, the Future of Jobs report for 2025 from the World Economic Forum is actually linked here. So if you don't want to stress yourself and, going on the web to search for it, just make sure to fill the attendance form, all right? And then you'll be able to have access to all of these wonderful resources. Now, the report actually highlights, several jobs that are going to be extinct, right? And then the jobs that are stable, as well as the jobs that are created. And I just went ahead to also further highlight it for us so that we can see. You can see project management, agile project managers and business analysts are on the list. So you are safe. All right, Annie, you are safe. Elizabeth, you are safe. If you're going into project management, agile project management now, not the traditional project management or agile project management, because you want to make sure that, as you are evolving or as the world is evolving, you're also evolving with it. All right, because times are changing. Okay, so agile project management and business analysis are two of the, career paths that have been highlighted to, last the test of time. All right, so if you're here in this session tonight, you are in the right place. Now, let's talk about the Agile Project Manager. All right, I'm going to start with this. Projects fail every single day. I love something that Moses was saying earlier. He said there are a lot of things that you do daily, that are projects. A lot of people, when they hear projects, they think about, oh, a $1 million project. But I put it to you that in your day-to-day lives, we're all project managers on this call tonight, because in your day-to-day lives, you have been managing projects in one way or the other without even knowing it. Now, you moving from one apartment to the next is a project, okay? Because then you have to plan for it. You have to plan, okay, you have to rent a new apartment or build a new apartment or buy a new house, for the rich people on this call. You have to do all of that. You have to plan the move, the entire move. You have to pick a moving date. You have to plan how you're going to pack all your stuff in boxes, the kind of moving company you're going to hire. That's a project. And if you have been able to do that successfully, you are a project manager. Okay. If you have ever planned your child's birthday party, or your party, your birthday party, or a wedding, or your mom's anniversary, golden jubilee, birthday parties, those are projects. Because the amount of stress that you go through when you're planning that, and how you breathe a sigh of relief after the D-Day. Now, these are projects. But when we bring it into the tech now, it's not necessarily, building applications or just the tech aspect of things. It could be in the healthcare sector, right? Most especially in the healthcare sector, there are a lot of projects there. It could be in the production sector, it could be in the educational sector, any sector at all, right? Projects fail every day. Deadlines sleep. Okay, as project managers, we are in charge of making sure that our team, or mobilizing the team to execute projects on time, within scope, that is within the boundaries of that project, right? And also within budget. So if a budget has been allocated, we have 1 million naira to spend for this birthday party, or we have $1,000 to spend, for this office dinner, you have to stay within that budget. All right. Now you also have to meet up with the timeline. The anniversary dinner is in 3 weeks. You're trying to run around, you're trying to meet up with the timeline. Now, oftentimes when it comes to projects, I'm going to be real with you, right? Deadlines sleep. Budget balloon. You start off with $1,000 and then, it just starts to go off track. And before you know it, you have spent $5,000, and all of that. And teams also lose direction. But now imagine this. Imagine that you are the person who knows how to bring alignment, who knows how to bring the team together, who knows how to bring clarity, to that team, and who knows how to deliver, even when everything seems like it's going to fail. Just imagine you're that person. Do you know how much, these organizations are searching for people like that? Now, that's exactly what Agile project managers do. Now, the problem here is that most people only know the traditional project management aspect. Your long plans, your rigid steps, the waterfall sequence, and they struggle to get things done. But today, like I said earlier, the world is evolving. You want to make sure that you're evolving with it. And change is the only constant. All right. So even if you have some idea, project management, you have been a traditional project manager for the past 10 years, you still need to, you need to upskill. All right. Because then people that have upskilled and become, Agile project managers will beat you at your game. All right. Agile gives you a framework that, would help you thrive, regardless of how chaotic, the project, whatever project it is that you're handling gets. You are going to learn how to, lead stand-ups. You're going to learn how to prioritize backlogs. You're going to learn how to deliver in small increments, just like WhatsApp. Right? The way you open your phone today and then you see that WhatsApp has a new feature, those are increments. And for WhatsApp to be able to do that, they have a wonderful team of project managers in the back end that you don't even know about. All right. So it's not just about managing tasks now. You want to make sure that you're delivering value for these organizations. All right. Now, here is the good news. If you're looking to get into project management, you do not need any prior tech experience at all. Somebody say amen in the chat. All right, you do not need any prior tech experience. Quote me anywhere. Tell anybody that you met someone, called Elizabeth Nana, and that was what she told you. You don't need any prior tech experience at all. You just need the right training and also exposure. You need somebody to hold your hand every step of the way. You need somebody to give you projects or assign you to projects that you can work on, so you can also build, your experience as well. And that is exactly why we built this particular program, the Agile Project Management Program. We're here to take you from beginner to job ready. from beginner to professional, with hands-on, hands-on projects, live classes and all of that good stuff. But I'm going to walk you through that. Now, for the key learning areas for our Agile Project Management program here, it's actually a combination of both, right? It's the project management and also Scrum Master Professional. We start off with introduction to project management methodologies and structure. So like I said earlier, we always start from the basics, all right? So helping you identify the different methodologies that we have in project management, like your agile methodology, your waterfall, and also the hybrid methodology. And not just helping you identify it, but also teaching you, how to know the best methodology to apply to what project, all right? Because it's not a one size fits all. Okay, so you still most likely get into an organization that maybe they are still using the waterfall methodology. Now you need to be able to stand regardless of whatever technique or methodology they're using that organization. So you will learn, all right, and then also learn identify the best methodology for any projects that you come across. Then we go into the project management structure, and when I talk about the structure, I'm actually talking about the life cycle of a project. What are the different phases that your project must go through, right, in order for you to have a successful project at the end of the day? Because think about it, imagine you're managing a project that is worth about $1 million. What are the different phases? What are the different things that you need to do at every single step to make sure that you get to the finish line and you are actually, successful? So from your project initiation phase, your project planning phase, your project execution phase, the monitoring and control phase, and finally the project closure phase. So what are these different documentation you need to prepare, right? What are the different activities that happen? So you're going to learn how to carry out a feasibility study. You're going to learn how to, build a business case, your project charter. How do you plan a budget for a project? All of these critical things you're going to be learning in this program. Next, we go into project management skills and communication. So teaching you how to communicate efficiently and effectively, right? And also how you can tailor your communication to fit your audience. All right, the kind of people you're trying to speak to. If you're trying to speak to a project sponsor or you're trying to speak to maybe a developer, how do you, tailor that communication to fit that specific audience? Because the way the kind of communication channels you establish with a project sponsor will be different from the kind of communication channels that you also establish, with maybe a developer or even a team lead. So learning that is very essential. Then we go into the foundations of Agile and Scrum. Now, I want you to take note of the words that I'm using. I'm using words like introduction. I'm using words like foundation. Now, that should tell you just how. I see Yomi in the chat. Yomi says, right on, Mommy Gio. Thank you, Yomi. So I see some other questions in the chat. Not to worry, I'll get to your questions soon enough. All right. Now, how do you understand this new terrain you're trying to get into? Of course, because we're taking you, from the foundation. So we'll actually teach you what the Agile methodology is and what it entails. All right. And then we teach you the different frameworks we have under the Agile methodology. And we pick the two most popular ones that organizations are using today. All right. Scrum and Kanban. So we now take you end to end. Make sure you understand the Scrum framework end to end, as well as the Kanban framework end to end. So we're teaching you about the Scrum artifacts, the history of Scrum. How did it even come about, right? What was the purpose of it, right? Teaching you increments, sprints, sprint backlog, your product backlog, and so on and so forth. We're going to teach you how to facilitate the Scrum ceremonies or events, like your backlog grooming, your sprint planning, your daily stand-up, your sprint review, and your sprint retrospective. How exactly do you lead these meetings? All right. Then we go into advanced Scrum and Agile practices, also teaching you how you can write Agile user stories. So here, there is a little overlap, between the responsibilities or the skills of a BA as well as the skills of a project manager, because both business analysts and project managers would actually learn how to write user stories. Then we go into end-to-end use of Jira and Confluence in projects. All right, so Jira and Trello, Moses was walking us through them earlier. We use them for task tracking. So this is how you're able to assign tasks to members of your team. You're able to track your progress. Now, I'm sure a lot of us here, we're trying to get a remote job. We're trying to work from home or work from anywhere, just like myself. I work from anywhere. I could go on a vacation tomorrow morning. Now, I just need to go with my laptop and I'm good. All right. Now, in order for you to do that and succeed, when it comes to that, you need to know how to use tools like Jira and Trello. So you're not placing a call to anybody. Hello, please, what's the update? What is this? You're able to track that. You use a software to track it and make your life easier. And then you're also going to learn Confluence, how you can use Confluence to, document, manage the documentation, all the relevant documentation for that project that you're working on. Next, we go into Agile metrics and reporting. Now, this is how you're able to track the health of your project. How do you know if this project is on track? Or, this project, we are ahead of schedule or we are behind schedule. What do we need to do, to boost it? Because if we keep going this way, we're not going to meet our deadline. How are you able to track all of these things? You're able to track that using metrics. You're also able to track the productivity of your team. Are we working the right way? Can we be better? Are we, finishing these tasks as fast as we want to? What's the ideal rate for that? You're able to track all these things that I just mentioned using Agile metrics. So metrics like your velocity, your burn-up charts, your burn-down charts, your lead time, your cycle time, your cumulative flow diagram, and so on and so forth. So you're learning all of these metrics. You're learning how you can generate them on Jira, as well as how you can calculate them and also draw insights from them. And then we move on to real-world application. Now, what if I told you that every single thing I've been saying from the beginning, when I talked about introduction to project management methodologies, what if I told you that everything you actually learned them using projects? So listen, just walk with me. You actually get to work on projects. Now, from your very first live class, you're assigned to projects. Now, what this does for you is more than just a training. It's more than just, you're not just coming to class to come and read, Ace or Apple. You're learning and you're building your experience and also building a portfolio. All right, I'm going to show you a sample portfolio from one of our students here at Analytics in a little while. But if you're also looking to, take a professional certification much later in your career, now you don't need a certification to land a job, but maybe much later, it's like when people have, when people go for their PhDs and they have doctor in front of their name, you know what I mean? So if you are looking to take a certification later, this program also helps to prepare you for that. So whether it's your PSM, whether it's your Prince 2, whether it's your PMP, whether it's your CAPM, whether it's your PSM and CSM, PSM 1 and 2, this program would help to prep you for that. All right, now we have a blended learning approach here at Analytics. What that means is we combine live classes and also self-paced learning. Now we understand a lot of us on this call, we have jobs, right? A lot of us have families we're taking care of, especially if you're in the UK. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on. Some people are even maybe doing their masters. So how do you balance that training? What you're doing in your day-to-day, your everyday life with this training. So what we did was we have 2 live classes in a month. And this is the same for the business analysis program as well. So you have 2 live classes in a month. So 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, you have a live class. All right, such as this one. So you're able to see the face of your facilitator. But the difference now is you'll be able to interact. You actually be able to raise up your hand and ask a question, right? So you could see myself, right, Elizabeth, you could see Moses, you could see any other, qualified facilitator, and you're able to ask questions. You're able to fully participate and also speak to your peers, collaborate and, rub your minds together to answer certain questions, depending on the project you have been assigned to. Now, these Saturday live classes have 2 different timings. Again, flexibility. So we have the morning time, the morning class, which is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, as well as the evening class, which is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. And you're able to pick the most suitable one for you. So you're able to decide if, I work in the morning, I can only be free in the evening. I want to choose the evening class. Or I'm going to be tired in the evening. I want to choose the morning class. The choice is yours. You are able to pick one, and not to worry, all the sessions are recorded. So if for any reason you miss you miss a live class, maybe due to work, maybe you work a shift job and it's not really set in stone. So sometimes you have to pick up a shift. Now you're able to just access the recording of that session as well as the class materials, everything that was used in that session. And we're also able to ask questions. All right. Now, the other half of it is the self-paced learning. Now, upon registration, every single participant here at Analytics is added to our learning management system. We call it the LMS. All right, there you have pre-recorded videos of professional facilitators like myself, like Moses. You have videos that you can watch at your own time. So maybe you are on the train, you're on your way to work, you can just plug in your headphones and you're listening in and you're watching these videos. When you're at home and you're resting, you can just listen and watch all of these videos and try to also replicate the things you're seeing in these videos, because you're going to be learning a lot as well as seeing, projects, and try to replicate them. Now, when you're studying, right, and you have any question, there are two avenues for you to drop your questions. So you can either choose to, share your questions via WhatsApp, because you're going to be added to a closed WhatsApp group chat with your facilitator. All right. So you're able to just say, oh, at Moses Joshua, I have this question. Please, can you answer it? And that person, answers your question. Now, the other alternative is that we have what we call drop-in sessions, right? Think of them as mini classes. So it's not like we just have 2 live classes in a month and we leave you. No, we always make sure to hold your hand every step of the way. So these drop-in sessions happen 2 times in a week. All right. We have one on Wednesdays, and then we also have another one on Saturdays. So the Saturdays, when you don't have a live class, you have a drop-in session. Now, what do you do in a drop-in session? You come to ask questions, right? Maybe we're watching a video, we're studying, you missed the last live class and you're watching the videos and you have certain questions. You don't understand something, or you've been assigned to a project, you don't know how to go about it. You can always come to the drop-in session and even share your screen to show, like, oh, Moses, look at this. I'm really struggling with this. Elizabeth, I'm trying to do this on Jira. I don't know how to do this. Please, can you show me how? Now, that is what the drop-in sessions are for. All right. So you have drop-in sessions, 2 drop-in sessions per week, and then 2 live classes per month. All right. Now, the learning timeline, that should be, I saw a question around that in the chat for the APM program. Now, it's the same, whether it's Agile Project Management or Business Analysis. All right. The learning timeline is 8 months. So you have 6 months learning in class and then 2 months of internship. But that does not mean you have to wait 8 months to land a job. All right. But I'll talk about that a little more later. Let's move on. Now, aside the ones that Moses also already shared with us, right, when he was talking about the career projections, if you're going into the business analysis pathway or the project management path. Now, we also have some other ones here that you can do. You can become a Scrum Master after taking this program. You can become an Agile coach after taking this program. You can become an Agile project manager after taking this program. You can become a technical Scrum Master after taking this program. A lean Agile coach, a Scrum team facilitator, a project coordinator, a lean project manager, and so much more. All right. So you're not boxed into, oh, I'm a project manager, I'm a project manager. There's so many roles that you can fill after taking this program. Now, the truth is you must build a portfolio to showcase your skills. I promised to show us a sample portfolio earlier. So let me just show you that. Now, this is another namesake. So there's an Elizabeth on this call. This is another Elizabeth. All right. This person, Elizabeth, is in my class, the April cohort, right? And this is our portfolio. Now, Elizabeth, we were able to walk Elizabeth through how she can build a portfolio. Her portfolio is very, very important. And it's also the reason why we have all these projects that you get to work on in class, so that you can show, you can show recruiters that you actually have experience. Okay. Now, this is what Elizabeth's portfolio looks like. And these are all the projects, that she has worked on. She's still with us, so she's still working on more projects. But these are just some of the projects that she has worked on while, she was with us. Again, is linked to this slide. So make sure to fill the attendance form. So you can also take a look at it for yourself. Every single thing is linked. You can see all the work that she did. Now, when Elizabeth is applying to jobs and she shows a recruiter this and tells them that she has 5 years of experience, they're going to believe her. all right, because she has actually worked on these different projects from different sectors of the economy, whether it is an AI project, whether it is, a project in healthcare, whether it's a project in edutech, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's not waste too much time. Let's go straight into, business analysis. Now, who is a business analyst? Let's just switch gears a little bit. All right, now, business analysts, Moses explained earlier, he said you're sort of like the middleman. All right, you're the person that gets requirements from this person and translates it into requirements, that the dev team, for example, would understand. Okay, now as a business analyst, for people like Annie, they want to go into business analysis. As a business analyst, you are a process person, all right? And you also help with decisions. Now, every single business, no matter how big, no matter how small, all right? 1096 has been running for the past 5 years. We also, run on decisions, right? Even your small business that you just feel like, oh, I just have a small business on the side, that business also runs on decisions. So every single business runs on decisions, but decisions are only as good as the data and the insights behind them. I want to make sure that people are actually listening to me. All right, so please put, an emoji, just put any emoji in the chat. Let me know that I have people still listening to me, people that are actually enjoying this session. If you're not enjoying the session, don't put any emoji. But if you are, thank you, Ololade. Anyone else? Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Richard. Okay. Thank you, iPhone. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Chuku Davis. Fantastic. Okay. Looks like everyone is still paying attention. Now, I was saying earlier, decisions are only as good as the data and the insights behind them. Now, the problem here is that most organizations don't actually understand what their customers want. They don't know what processes are broken, what processes are not working well in their organization. They don't know where money is leaking. They just feel like, year on year, by the time it's December, we are trying to, wrap up for the year. We find out that we didn't really make a lot of money. They don't understand where the money is leaking from until it is too late. But that is where business analysts come in. Now, as a business analyst, you're a translator, right? Think of it as, when you have language translators, right? Like there's someone that speaks Spanish and then there's someone that speaks maybe French, right? And there's a translator that is translating. So this person speaks Spanish and then translator translates it for the other person to understand. Now that is your role as a business analyst, all right? You are helping these organizations or these companies or these businesses. You are taking their messy business needs, because trust me, it will always be messy. They don't even understand what they want. You're taking that messy business needs, you are clarifying it for them, right? And then you are turning it into clear solutions, that the tech team can build. I remember when Moses was asking, when you hear business analysis, what comes to mind? Someone said something around solutions in the chat, and that was very, very brilliant. When I saw that, I chuckled a little bit, because what that means is that you already know what, a business analyst does, right? You identify problems that organization is facing, maybe as relating to their processes, and then you solve them. All right, you are the one, you're writing user stories, like I mentioned earlier, you're mapping out processes, you're running stakeholder workshops to elicit requirements gathering, and so on and so forth. Now think about this. Every single product that you use, whether it is your mobile banking application, I'm sure a lot of us, everyone on this call probably has a mobile banking application on their phone. So whether it's your mobile banking application, whether it is Netflix or Spotify, whether it is your favorite e-commerce sites like Amazon and the rest of them, even healthcare systems, every single product was shipped by a business analyst who was able to ask the right questions. All right, that's just it. Now, here's the beauty of it. You don't need to code. Whether you're going for business analysis or you're going for project management, you do not need to write one single line of code. You don't even need to be a data scientist. You don't need anything. You don't need to do anything technical. What you need is structured skills, right? And that is exactly what we are going to give you in this program. All right. Now we have trained professionals. We have trained a lot of professionals that have switched from whether it was admin that they were doing, whether it was HR, whether they didn't even have any experience. Maybe someone was a teacher, someone was, a midwife. I've helped them transition and start, actually working as business analysts in different organizations, whether they're banks, whether they're tech startups, and even the NHS. All right. So these people can do it, you can as well. Now, my offer to use this, right? Before I tell you my offer, let me also just walk you through the key learning areas. What are you actually going to learn with this particular program? All right. Now you're going to learn process mapping using tools like draw.io and also Lucidchat. Now, if you listened earlier when Moses was walking us through it, he mentioned these tools. You're going to learn how to map out processes because, you are helping organizations to make their processes better. And in order for you to do this, you need to be able to map it out. So you learn process mapping, and then we go a little in depth. Now we went into data analytics and we borrowed data tools from them. So you're going to be learning how you can use Excel. You're going to be learning how you can use Power BI. You'll learn how you can use SQL, which is the language of data, as a data analyst. But hear me out, these tools are absolutely simple to use if you have the perfect guidance. All right. Then we also went into Agile project management, and then we borrowed these two courses from them: project initiation planning, as well as Agile and Scrum for projects. Well, the reason for this was very simple and very strategic. Sometimes you could be a business analyst in an organization, and then you propose a new process. You're like, how about we do things this way? How about we do this that way to make it better so we can make more money as an organization? And then most times when you propose that new process, it's a project, right? And then the organization might not necessarily have a project manager on ground at the time. And then they look at you and they say, Annie, it's your idea. Annie, how about you help us execute this particular project? Now we're teaching you how you can initiate a project like a project manager, how you can plan for a project like a project manager. All right, what the Agile methodology is, what the Scrum framework is, and how you can also apply it, to your project. So all those things, user stories, daily stand-ups, Scrum ceremonies, you're learning everything. And then we go into software development lifecycle, your SDLC, your requirements fundamentals, right? Your elicitation, your stakeholder analysis, and also, stakeholder engagement. How do you engage your different stakeholders? And finally, you'll be learning how you can leverage AI, how you can leverage ChatGPT in your role as a business analyst. All right. So it's almost like you have an intern that you're not paying, right? So you're doing 50% of the work. The intern, which is ChatGPT, is also doing 50% of the work. And together, that's 100%. So you're only doing 50%, and then you go to bed. But when it's time to get paid, when it's time to get your 6-figure salary, you're getting 100% of the salary. So how can you use ChatGPT to make your work easier for you? So you're going to be learning tools like Jira, Confluence, process mapping, that's Lucidchat, Draw.io, Trello, Azure DevOps, Excel, SQL, Power BI, and also ChatGPT. All right. Now, I want to ask this very, very important question. Very, very important question, right? Who on this call that is listening to me right now, right, is ready to become the person in the room who knows what the business really needs? So anytime you're in any business, any organization, you're able to find out what the business needs and you can guide that solution. So if you feel like you are ready, I want you to put BA in the chat. Put BA now in the chat if you feel like you are ready to, become that person. I see you, Ololade, and once you put it, my colleagues are going to be sharing the enrollment link with you, and I'll also walk you through that very shortly. So anyone else? Tavia says BA. All right. So I don't want the project managers to be left out. Now, if you also feel that you are ready to be that person that will be guiding this project, from execution or from, ideation to the final process, put APM in the chat as well. I want to see that. Let's have a war between the business analysts and the Agile project managers. All right, so very shortly, I'm going to walk you through how you can get into that. Okay, now the different careers you can also start upon completion of this program. You have your process automation analyst, business architect, business process analyst, and so much more. Just make sure, once again, to fill the attendance form. okay? And then you have access to these slides and you can also read about them on your own. There's also a sample portfolio here, the portfolio of a business analyst this time around. I'm not going to be opening it. Once you get the slides, you can go through them yourself. Now, I know there are some people here that are not really sure, even after everything I've said, you're not really sure if you want to go for business analysis or you want to go for project management. Now, if you have your phones with you right now, I want you to, open your camera and scan this QR code, right? And you'll be able to take this quiz to find out, what tech career suits your personality. All right. If you don't have your phone with you, you can just wait, make sure you fill the attendance form. And once you get the slide, you're also able to scan this code, right, to know the best career path for you. Now, what is the strategy that will land you a job in 2025? A lot of people will say, we're already in September, it's just 3 more months. It's very possible to still land a job, but what is that strategy that will help you land a job? The first thing you want to do is you want to learn, right? You want to make sure you have identified the in-demand career paths, business analysis or project management. Register for our program. Start working on all of these different projects, right? Start honing your skills. The next thing is you want to position yourself strategically. So through our employability services like CV revamp, LinkedIn optimization, teaching you how you can build your portfolio, mentorship sessions, preparing you for interviews and so on and so forth. And then you want to apply. All right. You want to apply like a machine. That's the only way you can get the job. Okay. So now let's just take a look at some success stories. A lot of people always think, I don't know if I don't know if I can break into tech. It seems impossible until it is done, right? I'm going to double down. I'm just going to, highlight 2 very unique success stories, even though there's so much more, but 2 very unique ones. So we can see that these people, they have one head. If Esther can do it, Annie or Elizabeth can also do it as well. Now, this is Esther. Esther joined the Agile Project Management Program in April 2025. All right. She had absolutely no tech career, right? She just moved to the UK from Nigeria. She was working as a carer in the UK while she was taking this program. All right. The first thing Esther did was to learn, which was, when she joined the APM program in April. Now, the next thing she did was to package herself, right? We tailored our resume for her. We worked on her CV. We revamped her CV and sent it back to her. She joined all the mentorship sessions and, I was prepping her for interviews. So every time Esther got an interview, Esther would book, an interview preparation session on my calendar and would prep her for that interview. Now, the next thing Esther did, apply. Of course, in order for you to get interviews, she was already applying, but she was applying like a machine. She applied to a lot of jobs. I'm not going to come here and say, Esther just applied to one job and she got the job. She applied to a lot of jobs, both in the UK, both in the US, from the 10 Analytics job board. Now, we have a job board. I'll speak about that to you shortly. And she made sure she tailored every single application that she was making. And what happened? In less than 4 months, right? While she was still in the program, on the 1st of July, 2025, Esther landed a job with the civil service in the UK, right? And she works a hybrid schedule. So she does 3 days at the office and 2 days from home in Manchester, right? Now, she got this job just 4 months, less than 4 months actually into the program, right? But she actually started applying from the 2nd month. So give or take, in 2 months, she was able to land a job in the UK. Now, imagine moving from being a carer to actually moving into tech full-time. Now, if Esther can do it, you can also do it. Esther's testimonial is linked right here on this slide. So once you get the slides, make sure to watch it on your own. Now, let's talk about Judith as well. Judith was also a carer, right, in the UK, and she was able to transition from that into business analysis. Now, for Judith, she had a background in HR when she was in Nigeria, right? And she joined the 10 Analytics business analysis program as well, in March. And then she was able to also go through the same process Esther went through. She prepped herself, packaged her CV, she applied to jobs, and then she got the job in July as well. She landed a business analyst job in the US, working remotely in the UK. So she is in the UK, but she works for a company in the US and she works from home. All right. So if Judith could also do that, you can do it as well. Now, this is just us drilling down into, Esther's testimonial. You can see how excited Look at the epistle she sent when she got the job. All right, so happy, talked about the interview prep, talked about the case studies in class and how they really helped her to build her experience. So I'm not going to waste too much time on all of this. Once you get the slides, just make sure to, go through all of these testimonials. Now here at Analytics, we have something we call the job offer formula. All right, how do you actually get a job? It's very simple, it's simple addition, right? It's right? What we call technical skills, your technical skills, and then your employability skills. And when I talk about technical skills, I'm talking about the Jira, the Trello, the SQL, the Excel, all of those things that you'll be learning, right? But that's not enough. You can't just learn Excel and learn Jira.io and say, yes, I'm a business analyst. I want to go into the job market. The job market is highly competitive. How do you land a job? You have to add that with your employability skills. And what are the employability skills? The first is the CV revamp. So we actually would revamp your CV for you from the second month while you're with us. So for example, if you start in October, by the end of November, we'll be working on your CV and we'll give you back that CV to start applying for jobs. All right. So to make sure that you can scale past the applicant tracking system that organizations are using, the ATS. Right. And then we have LinkedIn optimization sessions with you so that you can position yourself strategically. Now, we have a lot of participants. Not everybody got jobs from our job board. We also have a lot of people that got jobs from LinkedIn, right? So what this means is recruiters, they were just going about their daily business. And then recruiters reached out to them, on LinkedIn, to offer them a job, right? And that's how they got an interview. They got prepped for the interview and they got the job. So how do you position yourself strategically on LinkedIn so that as much as you're searching for jobs, recruiters are also looking for you? Because we've already established that these are skills that these recruiters really, really need. Next is navigating the job market. Here we have, our founder here at Analytics, Adeza Suleiman, as well as other professionals to come back to the classroom and speak to you, right? We also have people that have gone through the program. So like business analysts that have gone through the program and landed jobs, people like, Judith, people like Esther, not just people that went through the program, but people that landed jobs. They come back to the classroom and they speak to you about things that they did that worked for them and how you can also adopt those techniques as well. Next is the interview preparatory session. So every single time you get an interview, you have someone here at Analytics to prep you for that interview. It doesn't matter if you have 20 interviews, we'll prep you 20 times. So we'll conduct an interview, an interview simulation for you, basically to give you an idea or an insight into the kind of questions you should expect. So Annie, when you get into this interview, these are the questions that, these are some of the likely questions that you may be asked. Now, if they ask you this question, this is how you should answer it. Elizabeth, if they ask you this question, this is how you should answer it. Yomi, if they ask you about this project, this is what you should say. Now we make sure to prep you. And so by the time you're going into the actual interview, your confidence is already boosted. Okay. Next, we have the job reference letter. So once you land the job, you can actually put us down and we'll give you a recommendation letter or a reference letter so that you can submit to that organization. Next, we have on-the-job support. Now, this is not really popular, but for people that land jobs, and maybe the first 1 month, you don't really know how to go about that job. You can always book a one-on-one session with a professional here at Analytics, and that person would show you the ropes and teach you, just provide guidance on how you can go about that specific task. Next, we have weekly mentorship sessions. And the name implies, you get mentorship every single month, right? From professionals. So you get that hand holding. So you are in the right headspace. When it's time to get into the job market, you know exactly what you want to do. You know how to answer interview questions. You know what recruiters are looking for. We also bring top recruiters from top, global firms to come back to the classroom and also tell you some of the things that they look out for, when they're hiring in their company. So you have all of these things in your back pockets. You're getting a lot of insider information, tips. So when you're going into the job market, you know exactly how to tailor your job, your application so that in 2 months or less, you're able to land a job. And finally, for people who want to freelance, we're also going to teach you how you can optimize your Upwork session, your Upwork profile as well. Now, aside that, every single one of our participants has access to exclusive access, by the way. A lot of people, everybody knows ChatGPT, but you have exclusive access to our personalized learning AI assistant, Oluko. Oluko in Yoruba means teacher, right? So you actually have your personal AI that you can use to also prepare you for these interviews. And when you're studying, sometimes you don't understand certain things. You can go on Oluko and ask questions, right? And Oluko is going to be able to guide you. Now, this is not something that is for general use. All right. So you are going to be 1% of the 1% that will get to use Oluko. And then you also have access to our weekly job post. Now, remember, I talked about the 10 Analytics job board area. Now we pay a lot of dollars every month, right, to be able to get exclusive jobs. We pay, so you don't have to pay for it. Now, every single week, we get all of these exclusive jobs and we put them together and send them to you to apply. So, for example, this is a snapshot from the project management, class, the Google class. You can see the different jobs that we updated, the company, the job location, and if the job offers sponsorship. So whether the job offers sponsorship or they don't offer sponsorship, so you know exactly the one you're applying to, and then the link to the job. So you have access to all of these wonderful things when you register for the program. Now, there are so many more success stories. If I go into these success stories, we can sleep here for 5 hours. But just take a look at this, all right? So this was an email that we got, from one of our participants that we helped, with a referral or a reference letter, and that person was able to land a job with that. All right. So all of these people have done it before. So if they can do it, then you can also do it as well. All right. So many success stories. All you need to do is just make sure you get the slides so you can go over them on your own. Now, how do you get started? You can join our next cohort starting on the 4th of October, 2025. Now, remember, I said that if you stick with us till the end of the session, I have a wonderful discount for you. Now, this is only for the people that stayed here. People that have dropped off, nothing for them. All right. Now, every single program here at Analytics is priced at $1,000 US. All right, which is about 820 pounds if you're in the UK. $1,000 US. But we have an exclusive 25% discount for people who are ready to register right now. Now, what that means is if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now and you would like to register for whether the business analysis program or the Agile project management program, instead of paying $1,000 US, you get to pay $750 US. Now, I want to see people put in the chat. If you're interested in this, if this is something that you're interested in, whether you are going for PM or you're going for BA, I want you to say BA now or PM now. And my colleagues will share the link to enroll with you. Now, not just the discounts that you're getting, right? You get more than the discounts. You're actually also able to pay in installments. All right, you're able to pay in installment. Now, this discount is only available to 20 people. We have more than 20 people on this session right now. So it's literally grab your copy. Okay, you're able to speak for as many as 5 times. Grab your copy now. So I'm going to be walking you through the payments plan. So I see Linda and I see iPhone. So now let me show you what that looks like. So the link that my colleagues are sharing in the chat box, once you click on it, give me a second. Once you click on it, this is what you're going to see. So it shows you a list of all the courses that we offer. Very straightforward. Now, it now depends on which one you want to go for. Is it business analysis, right? Or is it Agile project management? So when you identify the one that you want to go for, let's use Agile project management. You just need to click on buy now. So once you identify it, you click on buy now and it opens up the program description, every single thing you need to know about the program, right? And the minimum number of projects you'll be working on. So you can see here, you work on at least 8 projects with us. So you can take your time to read through, you see the curriculum, you see your instructors, the people that are going to be walking you through this program, you see the job opportunities available to you. And then once you're done reading all of that, you just want to scroll to the bottom to select your preferred pricing plan. Now, here is where you get the payments plan, all right? Just click on enroll now and you'll be prompted to create a free account. So it's going to take you less than 1 minute. We just need your full name, your phone number, and your email address. That's all. So once you create your free account, you'll be able to confirm your enrollment, which is what you can see on my screen right now. And you can see right here, it says 25% discount applied. Now, do you know the interesting part? In as much as we have a new cohort starting on the 4th of October, we also have another one starting on the 8th of November, and you are able to secure your spot in advance. Now, remember, I said earlier that, this program this discount is only available to the first 20 people. Now, what that means is you are able to go in there and say, you know what, I'm busy in October. I can't join in October. I would like to join in November. But I heard about this discount and I don't want to miss out. And then you just come here and you select when you want to start. So whether you want to start in October or you want to start in November. And then here is your payment option. Now, if you're joining from the UK, you see it in pounds, just like you're seeing on my screen. If you're joining from the US, you see it in USD. If you're joining from Nigeria, you see it in Naira. If you're joining from Canada, any part of the world, if your local currency is in euros, you see it in euros. So it's, you pay in your local currency. You don't have to worry about, I saw Linda was asking earlier, she said she's in Belgium and how does she go about it? So you are able to pay in your local currency. Okay, not to worry. You don't need to start thinking of how you can convert your money. Now, you're able to split your payments for as many as 5 times. In pounds, the full pricing of the program is £820. But because you are part of the first 20 people that is looking to register, instead of 820, you get to pay £615. Okay, 615. That's almost £200 off. You get to pay 615, and then you can split it for as many as 5 times. So you can say, you know what, I want to pay 5 times. I don't have 615 all at once. Or I want to pay 4 times, or I want to pay 3 times, or 2 times, or I want to pay once. It depends on you and your financial capacity. You just have to select the payment plan that you are comfortable with. So if you want to make, for people who want to make full payments all at once, or 2 payments, right, they get an additional discount. Now, instead of paying £615, they get to pay £585, but only for people who are paying once or twice. If you are paying 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times, you will be paying £615, which is about 750 US dollars. Now, let's say you select the 5 monthly installments. What that means is you're saying, you know what, I want to secure my spot with £123 right now to become a business analyst or to become an agile project manager. That's just what it means. Now, I want you to hurry. I'm expecting that a lot of people that are listening to me right now would have started clicking on this link because, like I said, we have more than 20 people on this session, and this discount is only available to the first 20 people. So it's grab your copy as soon as you can. All right. So once you select the preferred payment option, you can go ahead to click on apply discounts. Just confirm all of your information and go ahead to make payments using your card. It is that simple. So Linda, I hope I have been able to answer your question now. Very, very easy to do that. Okay, so I see questions in the chat. I also see that my colleagues are already answering some questions. So if you have more questions for me, put it in the chat. Let's use roughly 10 minutes to take your questions. So Marchi says, question, do you offer a certification at the end of the program? Yes, we do, Marchi. We do. And our certificate of completion is globally recognized because 10Analytics is accredited by the American Council for Training and Development. The second question from Marchi is, what's the schedule of the class like? Weekends, weekdays, and what's the frequency? So Marchi, you must have, maybe joined late. I took that earlier. So you have live classes 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, right? And they're always recorded. And then for drop-in sessions, which are sessions where you join to ask questions, you have that twice in a week. One on Wednesday, one on Friday, on Saturdays when you don't have a live class. So you're able to have all of these different sessions, so to properly take you through the entire program. Okay, let me see if I have other questions that I've not answered in the chat. Let's see. Okay. So iPhone allows, I hope you've been able to see the payment plan now. And my colleague just answered you. So I just showed you what it looks like. Make sure to click on the link that was shared and make payments. Now, if you would also still like to have a one-on-one conversation with me, that is okay. Go ahead to secure your spot okay? And then just indicates that you would like to, if you join our community as well, just indicates that you would like to speak to a professional, and you can have a conversation with me if you have further questions that you would like to discuss. But make sure you secure your spot first, all right? Secure your spot, make the minimum deposit. If you're going to be paying in USD, that should be around 150 USD. With 150 USD, able to see your business analysis journey or your agile project management journey. All right. Now, Elizabeth Oyetayo says, I have a question. Please go ahead to type your question if you have a question. Elizabeth Oyetayo, I have 2 questions up there. Kindly check. Let's see. So we have a lot of messages. I'm trying to find your question, Elizabeth. Let's see. Just give me 1 minute to find it. I don't see it. I don't see it. Okay. Is it possible to work for a company and also freelance? Fantastic. Yes, it is. Very, very possible, Elizabeth. Very, very possible. Okay. A lot of people do it. You can do it as well. Elizabeth also asked, do these jobs come with sponsorship? Yes. Yes, 100%. So I explained it earlier. A lot of these people are able to get jobs that companies are willing to sponsor. Again, I said they're looking for these jobs. They're looking for these skills that you have. So if they find out that you have it, they have an interview with you and you can defend it, they are willing to pay, they're willing to sponsor you. Okay, so a lot of people are using that to relocate. So people are using that to move from Nigeria into the UK, into US, or into Canada as well. And even if you are currently on a care visa and you're looking to switch, it is very possible to land a job that comes with sponsorship. All right, so just make sure, secure your spots, okay? Elizabeth says with $750 payment with 5 installments, that should be $150 per payment. But when I paid with dollars, $175 was deducted. So Elizabeth, if you have already made payments, then maybe you did not pay using discounted price. All right, so just make sure to join one of our communities. So I can see my colleagues, Iyanu, please share a link with Elizabeth so that she can join, a community. So if she has further questions, we can take a look at that. So Elizabeth, you just said you paid £123. Yes, exactly. That was what I just explained. So £123 is the minimum payments. That's what you have right here on the screen. Okay, £123. So it depends on, the currency that you're paying for. All right. So is there a masterclass for the other courses? Yes, 100%. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. I may not be able to take all your questions, but make sure, go ahead to secure your spots, just like Elizabeth did, right? I'm guessing Elizabeth has already made payments for the Agile Project Management Program, so she secured her spots. So what that means is it's no longer 20 now, it's less than 20. So the first 20 people, I'm sure about 10 people have already gone to secure their spots. Please go ahead to do that. iPhone Alausa says, I would like to speak to a professional. Wonderful, right? So you'll get the link soon, but make sure to secure your spot first, because after speaking to the professional, the discount might have ended. Secure your spot and then indicate you'd like to speak to a professional, and we'll 100%, have that with you. All right, thank you so much, everybody. This has been such an insightful session. Just make sure, fill the attendance form. You're able to get all the information that you need. If you have additional questions, join our community, and so you can speak to a professional about whatever concerns or questions that you have. Now, thank you so much for joining this session. And, I will see you when I see you. For the people who would like to have a conversation with me, I see Linda as well. All right, you get the link to do that shortly. But thank you so much, everyone. Do you secure your spots by paying? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Thank you, Billions. Billions. Thank you. Elizabeth has another question. I mean, it should be £123, but I used dollar card and it was $175. So yes, Elizabeth, that is not on us, okay? So it depends. If you have to pay in your local currency. If you try to pay in a currency that is not your local currency, right? So if you're in the UK, for example, and you need to pay in pounds, and you try to pay in, using a USD card, it may, emphasis on may, take more than you should have. But not to worry, subsequent payments, just make sure to pay it in pounds and you'll be good. All right? So thank you so much, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you soon, whether in the Adult Project Management class starting on the 4th of October or in the Business Analysis class. Thank you and bye for now.